What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be briefly going over the different chart settings that I use on my Thinkorswim platform. I'm not going to be showing my indicators that I use in this video, but I'm mainly just going to be going over my chart layups and everything that I use to get everything set up. Alright, so getting straight into this video, I have this chart set up over here. I use the flexible grid. So when you first open it up, you have the charts and then flexible grid next to it, but I'm on the flexible grid. I just have a separate window open. So the default window will usually look something like this. You'll have these different tabs open. If you want to get rid of them, you just click this button over here and it'll slowly get rid of all of them. And if you want to add more, then you can add more like this. But this is roughly what my chart looks like, and I'll turn off the customizable grid, and this is what we're saying. I'll pull up a stock right now so we can see some price. So right now, this is the basic default chart with all the lines, the volume down here that's still blue. This is what the regular basic chart layout looks like when you open Thinkorswim. It still has some of my drawings on here because that's what saves over. But right now you're going to go up here and click this this settings icon, and right here I'll just walk you through all the different chart settings that I have. So under the general tab, you have your orders and alerts, and this will be some of the stuff that will like show up as you enter orders or you add in alerts on your charts. So right now, I don't really do too much active positions because I use different brokers for actually taking trades for Thinkorswim, but it's like I leave the show orders on so I can see what orders I have pending or what orders I'm actively in. For the alerts, I use arrows only. This is to make sure that I don't have like a big yellow line across my screen. It looks a lot nicer when the yellow arrow is just sitting over here. I keep the show studies on and highlight studies on. Everything over here stays the same. If you want to show your trades, you can add those on. But if you want, you can toggle them over here. So what this toggle button does is that when you go over here and click into the style, you can click show trades on and off. And I'll also show you an example that you can do later on in the video. But right now, the show trades will just show that when you enter a trade, it'll show how many positions you're in and what order price you're in. But when you're looking at a chart overall, it can get a little messy. So I like to toggle this on and off. But for right now, I'll just keep this off. Going down to synchronized crosshair positions over here, I keep this on because I have multiple screens on my different monitors. So when I move my crosshair, it'll show on the same price or at the same time on all the other parts. Time zone, just keep it at your regular time zone. And then everything else over here stays the same. If you choose to use this regular volume indicator, which I'll show you a different one that you could use and add using the actual indicator section over here, you could overlap the volume, which will make it just stay right here, or you can make it separate and keep it over here, but this is how I use mine. Looking at the price axis next, I take all of this off. I take off the fit studies and the fit study markers because when you add indicators to your chart, it'll start shrinking them so it fits all of the indicators parts, and it makes the price action look really ugly sometimes. So I take all of this off. Next, for the expansion area, I like to do this 20% up. The expansion area is how much you'll be able to see like above price, and then the 10% down is how much you'll be able to see below price. So when I update it, you'll see that it sort of shrinks down a little bit, so you can see higher and you can also see lower below it. And here we have our time axis. I don't really have too much to change here, except this just shows what your overall, like if I wanted to look at today, and I can click on 5 minute, but I don't use my timeframes over here. I change my timeframes by having presets that you'll see in the favorite timeframe section next, and I'll apply that, and you see that we're now on a lower time frame. And then the expansion area, I like to keep this at least 100 bars to the right because I like to have my price centered to the right of the screen. So this is how much price will be like moved over to the left, and you'll have area on this right over here where there's like just an open space, if you can see that over here. However, usually I do keep it on 500. That's just like my personal preference, so I can like zoom in and like really see where price is going to. I don't touch any of this, but I do take off the rollover lines and all of this. So if I go back to, let's say, year today in a daily chart, right, we have all these red lines that look a little weird here. So you can take off the expiration Fridays, the rollover lines, and then you can keep the year marking lines on if you want to, but I personally don't have them on because I don't see them as that important. So I'll keep those off. And then favorite time frames, these are all my preset time frames that I use if you want to copy these, but I just have different times that I want to see, like a max to a monthly chart, a yearly chart, daily, 4 hour, 2 hour, and so on. After that, we have the appearance of the actual chart. I basically keep everything the same. If you, like I said, if you do choose to use the same volume down here, it might be better to have it color as the symbol tick. So if it's a red candle, it'll show up as red volume. And if it's a green candle, then it'll show up as green volume. And just because the volume is red or green does not mean that there was more buying or selling or anything like that. But I do have an indicator that I'll show you at the end of the video that will show you how I'm able to see like the different buying and selling volume. And then over here, you can also change the color of your chart. So if you wanted a darker black or something like that, or if you wanted like a white chart, you could have it look like that, but that just looks a little ugly to me. So I'll just keep it where it regularly is. And then you can turn the grid on over here, on and off, but I keep the grid on for my charts. All right, and lastly, you have equities, options, futures, forex. These are like the different 4 commodities that TD Ameritrade allows you to trade. So essentially, starting with the equities, I keep all the volume sub graphs off for all of these because I use my own, and basically everything stays the same on these charts except for equities. I put on the toggle for the extended hour session. When I chart my supply and demand, I don't want to be able to see any of the pre-market or after hours data. So if I toggle it over here in the equities, I'm able to turn it off by just clicking this and apply. And now instead of having these gray lines, you'll just have gaps where price close and the next day it opens up here, and then it just does that all the way through. All right, so now I'm just going to turn that back on, and that's usually how I keep it. And then if you want to have volume, one that you could use is you can go and type in volume average. I just like this a little bit nicer because you're able to go and have like an average line and it'll show you average volume. And then I also use the ATR, but I don't want a separate like screen. So if I had this open over here and I typed in the average true range, right, and I added this, I'd have a whole separate thing, which I don't need. But if you have the volume as an indicator, you can just drag it together and now they overlap each other. And you can also just get rid of this line if you wanted to. However, I don't use either of these volumes. I actually use a buying and selling volume. So when I add it on, it ends up looking like this. And when I apply it, I'm able to see like different buying and selling. All right, that's all for the video. I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of all the settings I use and keep it nice and short and simple. Make sure you like the video and subscribe, and thanks for watching.